to the stage is the king of crazy. Let's put our hands together and welcome the king of crazy, Keon Hayes, and hanging with the Hazes.
What's up, fam?
Yeah!
Show you right.
That's right. Give it up for my main man. Now let's get into this.
Time to pick on the state of Maryland. Welcome to the show. So, thank you so much. I appreciate everything. So, let me dive into this really quick. So, to live in the RV in the state of Maryland as a resident, you have to meet certain zoning laws and building codes. And 99% of the time, you're going to need some type of permit, especially if it is on your private property. Now, you can also use an RV in the state of Maryland as a primary residence for tax purposes if it is, if it has the basic stuff for living. Now, let me just say this. I do full-time. I full-time in the state of Maryland. And with that being said, you have to comply with zoning laws and get permits if it's on private property. Now, if you're in a campground, it's already zoned. You're good. You just pay the campground and keep it moving. However, in order for it to be considered a primary resident in the state of Maryland, that RV has to have 4 things: a place to sleep, a kitchen and appliances for cooking, a bathroom with a toilet and or a shower or a tub, and you have to be where you spend most of your time, where you're keeping your things. Okay? Very important. Now, you do not need a commercial driver's license. I don't know who started that lie, because that's what it is. It's beyond a rumor. You don't need a commercial driver's license to do anything. Now, should you have a Class B if it's over 26,000? Yes. Should you have an air brake endorsement if you have air brakes? Yes. Those licenses are available in a non-commercial form in the state of Maryland. Now, technically, I'm a resident of Florida. We have an E license, which covers that. However, in the state of Maryland, technically, you should have a Class B if you have a vehicle that has air brakes and is over 26,000 pounds. If your trailer, and this is for those who have those big fifth wheels, if your trailer technically is over 10,001, you must have a Class A non-commercial driver's license. You should not be towing a fifth wheel that heavy with a 1-ton truck and you don't have a Class A license. I'm sorry. I know there are a lot of people that are not going to like what I'm saying, but you are a recreational driver. Chances are you don't have the training that a commercial driver would have. And if they need it for a reason, then you need to, regardless of the type of brakes that it has. Pretty much the same thing for big motorhomes, big diesels. You technically should have a Class B, and you technically should have air brake endorsements. But the trailers, I'm a little bit harder on, because those tend to be in more fatalities than anything. And it's usually the RVer's fault. I'll leave it at that. We'll get into that at another time. Now, you potentially may use mail forwarding, and that's fine to get your mail if you are from out of state. But the length of stay at RV parks, let me talk about that. It varies. It varies. And it's the park's rule as to how long you stay. If that park tells you that it's dictated by the county or the state, they're telling a lie. It is not. It is up to the individual park to set the time frame in which you can stay. Now, I will tell you, there are some people in Maryland right now that have some issues going on when it comes to RV living. The issue has to do with the fact that they want to stay on their property. I want to be clear about something. As of a few weeks ago, when I researched this, you are allowed to stay on your property while you are having a permanent domicile built. If it is not being built, then I think the max you can do is something like 14 to 30 days. I can't remember what it is. However, you have to be building some type of dwelling. And if they do permit you to stay on there long term until your dwelling is complete, then you have to have sewer hookups. That's the other thing. So, yeah, that's just the bottom line. I just wanted to do a quick unscripted about this because you hear so much information out there. I'm not a lawyer. What I am going to tell you is if you have any questions, issues, problems with the state or the county or the city, you need, and the HOA. Let's not start with that. You need to contact a lawyer that deals with this and allow them to argue your case. Don't you try to do it. It ain't worth the time and energy, number one. Two, they're not going to listen to you. But 99% of the time, they're going to listen to that lawyer because, who wants to get hemmed up in court? And that's really what it boils down to. So that's the skinny on this. This is the unscripted on the state of Maryland. When it comes to RV living, you can stay in a campground as long as you want. The campground makes the rules. You cannot stay on your property unless you have a permit and you are building a dwelling. In other words, you can't go out and buy 4 acres of land, stick a fifth wheel on there, and call it your residence. Nope, not in the state of Maryland, you can't. Lastly, there are really no other restrictions as far as residency, like making sure you have Maryland plates or anything like that. As long as you have a valid driver's license for the vehicle and the class for the vehicle that you are operating, you are good to go. They, for the most part, will leave you alone. I would suggest staying off of public roads and stuff like that. Stay out of parking rides. That just gives an opportunity for the local fuzz to mess with you. Ain't worth it. It's just not worth it. So thank you so much for listening to me for these few minutes. If you have any questions, comments, issues, or concern, make sure you check me out. Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Buzzsprout for the latest and greatest in our podcast. I'm out of here.
Be sure to join us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and you can always catch us on Facebook and YouTube. Hanging with the Hazes.
For more content and good stuff, make sure you hit us up on Facebook, YouTube. We are also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You don't want to miss it.